Hi, my name is Caterina and on my channel I talk about languages, communication and self-improvement. The other day I was speaking with a friend and she's German and I'm learning German, so she asked me if I wanted to have some weekly conversations with her so I could improve my speaking ability. And I was pretty hesitant at first because I am very shy when speaking another language and I felt insecure and I was scared. And I think that is a very common thing. So I thought I would share with you the things that got me in the right mindset so I could actually have this conversation in German, even though I'm not the best at it, but at least I'm trying and I'm improving, and that's really what's important. First of all, it's really important to understand why we are so scared and why we're so uncomfortable while we're trying to speak the language that we're learning. And it's important to understand that fear is really important in our lives and it's there to protect us. And our brain is trying to tell us something is wrong. If you're scared, it's because you think you're in danger and something's gonna go wrong. And I think this happens with foreign languages because it's scary, it's unknown, we don't know what's gonna happen. We feel like we're not at our best, we don't really know how to express ourselves, and that's really uncomfortable because talking is human nature, is what sets us apart from other species. It's something that is an instinct for us. So not being able to properly express your thoughts, it's extremely frustrating. Not being able to express our thoughts is extremely frustrating and uncomfortable and scary. So it's normal to have that fear. But once you understand that that is completely natural, you can take some steps to overcome it. But before we get into all that, I want to share with you some tips that I think are useful if you want to start learning the language and practicing, but you are really too scared to speak and you think that a little bit more practice will make you more comfortable. And I've spoken about this more in depth in my How to Learn a Language the Stress-Free Way video, so without stressing too much. And in that video I talk about journaling, so you can maybe journal even if it's just short sentences, but that's gonna help you develop a little bit of vocabulary. Another one might be talk to yourself, so try to describe your day, get a picture from the internet and try to describe what you see or things like that. And in the video I don't talk about it, but another one that I think is useful is there's some apps that, for example, copy the mechanism of pen pals. So for example, Slowly is a good app where you write letters to a person and they respond, and it's a very slow process, so you have time to think about it and it's less stressful than having conversations. But I know there are some other apps where you can chat with other people in your native language and in their native language, that is the language that you're learning, and it's a way to learn, but without having the stress of being in person with someone. So I think that last point, so chatting and sending letters, is where most people get confused on why they are not able to speak, because sometimes they reach a good level of understanding and listening and writing, they're all good, but then when it comes to speaking, they can't speak. And that is because sometimes we forget that speaking a language and writing a language are two different things. It's not the same skill, and that is a problem if you don't want to interact with other people but you want to get good at speaking. But that's not gonna happen. It's like thinking that you will wait to play the guitar until you're good at playing the guitar, but if you don't play, you're never gonna be good. And it's the same thing with languages. You're never gonna be able to speak the language if you don't start speaking. So how can you overcome the fear of speaking and the embarrassment that comes with it? Well, I think a first tip that might help you is to prepare some sentences in advance. So if you already know the context in which you're going to talk and what are the topics that you might cover, or some topics that you might want to talk about with the person that you're speaking to, then it will probably make you feel more comfortable knowing those sentences and having them already prepared, and it's gonna calm you down, it's gonna relax you, so you're a bit less stressed while you're talking because you know that there's always that safety net in case you need it. The second thing that I think is so important is rationalize. I think we forget that fear is an emotion. So rationalizing is important. Try to detach from the embarrassment and the emotions, and remember that when you're speaking to someone in a language that you don't know, it's probably one of two cases. The first one is you're speaking to someone that is also learning the language. So they know your struggles, they know it's hard to learn language, they know it's hard to speak the language. So don't worry, they probably understand you. And you can connect over that. And it's important to remember that they're not there to judge you or to assess your level. And the same goes for a native speaker, because if you're talking to a native speaker, they're probably expecting you to not be as good as they are, because they know that you're learning the language. And if they are engaged in the conversation, if they want to have that conversation with you, then they're interested in you, they want to know what you're talking about, and they're there to help you. So try to keep it in mind, try to rationalize that your fear is just an emotion and you can fight it, and it's not something that gets over you and you can't overcome it. It's really easy. Well, it's not that easy, but it can be easy once you understand really that there's nothing to worry about. And the fear is kind of irrational, because there's nothing really bad that can happen. Because if someone shames you because you're not really good at speaking a second language, or they make fun of you, or if they judge your abilities, then we don't want that. Like, move on, get that person out of your life and get someone else that can speak the language, because that is absolutely not what you need while learning a language. So really know that if that person is doing that, just move on. It's probably not good for your learning to be in that environment anyway. So just remember that if someone is having that conversation with you, they're probably just there to help you and they care about you, so don't worry too much. The third one is to laugh at yourself. And I know it's not easy. Sometimes you feel like embarrassment is the worst thing that can happen while you're in the moment. And you might be associating speaking a second language to some embarrassing things that happened to you in the past, and you might not want to relive that experience. So that's why you're so scared of speaking the language. And I remember my first day in the US. I just got to the US from Italy. I had been awake for 30 hours because I couldn't sleep on the plane, and we were having, so it was like 2 a.m. for me, and we were having dinner in a restaurant with the family that was hosting me. And someone asked me if I could move because they had to go to the restroom, but I never heard the word restroom before. I always heard just bathroom. And so I stood there and I was like nodding and smiling because I thought they were commenting something about the restaurant. And I stood there for like a good minute and a half, just like laughing and smiling, and they were repeating like, can you please move, I have to go to the restroom. And I was like, yeah, it's a good restaurant. and then I understood, I don't know how, maybe they like make gestures, I don't remember, and I was so embarrassed. Like, I didn't know these people, I literally just got there, it was the first time seeing them, and it was embarrassing. But it's important to, like, now I laugh at it, it's fine. And they laughed at it too probably at the moment, maybe not me, but it's fine. You just have to remember that if you're embarrassed now, it will probably be a story you can tell in a few years, and it's really not a big deal. People know that you make mistakes and it's fine. Just try to relax and you'll see that your language will improve each time that you use it, and that's really why we're doing it. So don't be too hard on yourself if you make mistakes, and just try to laugh it off. As always, remember that learning a language is a process. It's gonna take time, it's gonna take some effort. You might have some issues along the way. It might take you more time than you expected, but that's fine. Just remember that you're doing it for a reason. Remember why you're doing it, and you'll probably be fine. And in the meantime, if you want to see more videos about learning languages on my channel, you can subscribe, and I will see you then.